All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Of Like Minds podcast. Have a super special guest in today, med student at Touro University, Nevada, family medicine resident at Kaiser in Orange County, graduated from UCLA, biggest Laker fan, Raymar Baesa. Thank you so much for coming on today to the show. Appreciate it, man.
Of course, man. Been looking forward to this, man.
Same,
Let's do
man.
it.
And you know, Raymar, it's funny how I kind of like to start with usually, how you grew up or this and that. But with you, it's funny how you and I met, and just letting the audience know. I remember it was in the John Wooden Center. For those that are listening to
Yeah, we were playing. Yeah.
the basketball courts at UCLA. We both went to UCLA. And I remember, I still remember to this day, it hurts me. And I'm gonna do one of those admitting, but I remember you were not my man. Someone was giving you space on the left wing. Someone gave you space. I closed out. Now, keep in mind, people, we're talking basketball, so I'm closing out now. Don't know, Raymar is a fucking shooter. I didn't know this though, but I was just mad because this man was just open. I was like, yo, who? It's game point too. So literally the next score that his team was gonna make was gonna be game. I closed out and I ran as fucking far as I could, got under him. Motherfucker falls. Of course, he falls on my fucking foot and he sprains his ankle, drills the fucking game-winning three in my face.
Best part.
Even more disrespectful. And then this is how we fucking met. So that was my karma. So if you play basketball, don't be dirty. I was mad, not gonna lie. I was gonna mad, but fucking drained in my face. And for some reason, we just decided to stay friends. So there's many more basketball stories coming in this episode, y'all. But that's how Raymar and I met. And it's just
I forgot about that.
Bro, there's so many stories with basketball with you, Raymar. And I wanted to kind of get into it. I know that's played a huge role in your life. Obviously, you're a Laker fan. You've played a lot in college. You still do. If you can just talk about like just how you kind of started in basketball, like the role that played, that's super prevalent in middle school, high school. You were basically Allen Iverson. You were like a two. I know you were telling me the stories about you being a beast at football too, or flag football. If you could just tell us the things of basketball for you.
Dang, man, getting started with it. I honestly don't even remember like clearly like how like me and like my brother started playing basketball. Like I just remember being like our parents signing us up for NJB, like the National Junior Basketball. And like we were in like first grade, and then like literally just like every year since every year we would always just go back to playing NJB and stuff. And it's just been constant ever since, man. Like I did it in like elementary school, did it in middle school. So we did like NJB until 8th grade, but we also played for our schools too. So it's like just playing basketball like both ways like that. And then I played in high school up until junior year before I tore my ACL, and I didn't play senior year.
Yeah.
And then college was just like, I mean, like it was just a part of me. So like I just had to like keep continuing it. And like honestly, like I've learned like so much just from like playing basketball. Like just like I a lot of my application process for like medical school, like for residency interviews, I actually talked a lot about basketball, and just because like how it's shaped me and how it's helped me become like a good medical student, and a good like how it's going to help me become a good doctor. Because I feel like anyone who's like going into any profession, like for me, like going into the field of medicine, like whatever your like favorite hobbies are, there's a reason why they're your favorite hobbies, and there's like characteristics you put into those hobbies that are a part of you and that will help you pursue whatever you want to do. Like so for me, like just being like I talked about this in my interviews, like being a point guard and how you have to like kind of like know everyone's roles. You have to know everyone's like strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And you're in charge of like, you have to like lead the team, and you're like in charge of like keeping morale up and stuff like that. That a lot of that goes into being like a primary care physician, which is what I'm going to do as a primary care physician. I'm going to have to like, know like the different like strengths of like my colleagues, so I know who to refer to for like certain problems. I'm gonna have to know how to communicate with different like just different other different providers, whether it's like nurses, medical assistants, physical therapists, like stuff like that. And like the whole like keeping morale up, you're gonna have to talk to like the patient's families and be like, oh, and like just like things are gonna be okay, this is what we're doing and stuff like that. So I talked a lot about how basketball has shaped me in my residency interviews, and like it's just been a part of me. So like it was just natural to talk about. Like it wasn't hard at all to talk about that. So yeah, man.
I bet, and I know that there's a lot of translation in terms of the player you are in the court in terms of now going into the medical field. I mean, if you can just take us through, for those that may have not experienced being in organized sports, maybe kind of just giving us more like what that kind of developed in terms of you learning at a young age X, Y, and Z, these
Yeah.
kinds of characteristics or like skill sets that are obviously playing a huge role into who you are today. If you can just maybe share with us like what you learned and how you learned them in terms of through basketball.
Yeah, I feel like the first thing that feel like a big reason why parents put their kids into organized sports when they're young is just to like learn structure and just how to learn like how to give respect and also earn respect and stuff like that. So that was a big part of me of how just like how I treat people nowadays. Like I learned
Yeah.
that at a young age because I was like involved in like all these different sports. Like I had to, listen to my coaches, listen to my teammates, and it
Mm,
helped me become just a better communicator, whether it's like me talking to them or also me listening to people around me. Because you're gonna have to listen to your coaches, you're gonna have to listen to your teammates if you want to,
yeah.
if you want to succeed. So like it helps like in real life, like just like whether it's your relationship, whether it's your career, you have to listen to different people, and you also have to be willing to give your opinion as well. So like
Yeah.
I learned all of that through sports, and I feel like it definitely made me like it definitely helped me develop leadership qualities. Like I said, like
Mm,
since I was a point guard, like I had to like be in charge of like leading the team and really like helping maintain morale and stuff
yeah.
like that. So if someone asks me like in like these residency interviews that like, oh, do you see yourself as more of a leader or a follower, I was like, right away I was like, I see myself more as a leader. Like I've had so
Hmm.
many of these experiences where I was a team captain, I was a point guard, and then like also just like with cultural night stuff, I have
Hmm.
so much
Yeah.
experience like leading and like kind of just like gathering a group of people to like work towards a common goal that it's just natural for me now. And just being in organized sports really helped me with that. Like it taught me like so many leadership qualities. It's also taught me how to be resilient. Like I
Mm.
having to deal with all these fucking injuries. Like
Yeah. I was.
like
Yeah.
dude, like oh my god, like I hated it. I just hated injuries because I loved playing so much, and that like
Yeah.
and just like the fact that I never got to play varsity in high school because I like tore my ACL
Mm,
and stuff like that. Like it teaches you to be resilient, and so like like if you have like a problem, if you're going through something, like to just like instead of dwelling on it, really just try and learn something from it so that you don't go through that again later on.
yeah.
So yeah, dude, it's just taught me so much, and like I can attribute a lot to who I am today thanks to like sports and basketball, football, all of it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and another one of those basketball stories, but I remember this is one of them. It was in college. It was also at the Wooden Center. And I remember, I don't know why I remember these things so vividly, but I remember we were, I don't even remember if we're on the same team, but I just remember we were backtracking on defense. And I remember you had twisted. And I remember you literally, I don't know if it was your MCL or your ACL, but you tore something. And like I was there, like I was
Yeah,
also on the court for that. And if you can maybe
yeah.
just give a little bit of into insight as to like one, what it's like to sustain like a serious injury like that, but two, even just
Mhm.
mentally recovering and then doing that multiple times because you've suffered multiple and correct
Yeah,
me if I'm wrong, multiple ACL injuries. So if you can just kind of take us through
yeah,
what it's like recovering and then like having to go through that again when you're just like, I just
yeah,
want
yeah,
to do this.
yeah. So like I've torn both my ACLs, one on each side. Yeah, I know. And then even before that, I even like suffered I like sprained my knee, I hyperextended it one time,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And like I mean, it sucks. Obviously, like at first you're just like, because like for me in college, I used to play a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like during any downtime I had, like
Yeah.
I would even skip class just to like go play ball with with some people if I knew they were playing. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so like I just loved to play, and like I contribute to how like who I am today just because I played a lot and just
Mm.
to like go through those injuries and like having to like go through the recovery time. It takes a toll on you at first, but like just because I've had like a lot of different injuries, you kind of just have to like kind of like just take the little things and like instead of trying to look immediately towards like how can I get back on the court, you kind of just have to do like little, like kind of try to achieve little goals instead of trying to get to that big one like right away.
Mm.
Like for me, like when I had my second ACL surgery, like I remember going through physical therapy again. Like I fucking hated physical therapy just because it's like
Yeah.
it's just annoying. You know, it's like you don't feel as strong.
Mm. We got to pause on you right here, Raymar. You pause, so do what you got to do. This is so funny. You're like frozen. You're like,
I would try and like
wait,
accomplish that.
go back, Raymar. Go back. You're frozen. You were like,
Oh shit, my
the
bad,
last. No,
dude.
no, you're good. You're good. The last thing. And don't worry, I'll fix this. But the last thing we heard was,
Okay.
you hated physical therapy. You're just like, you didn't feel as strong. It was just annoying as hell. What else was there?
Okay. All right. The internet. Am I good right now?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right. So yeah, I hated physical therapy just because like like it's annoying and you're not strong at that
Mm.
point, right? You're not at your full strength and you see other people who are like around you that are like further along than you. So
Mm.
it's like it brings you down a little bit. But then like for me, instead of trying to like figure out like when I could just like go back on the court, I would just try and like whenever my PT, my physical therapist would give me a goal, I would just try and like accomplish that sooner than when he expected.
Mm.
Like for me, I specifically remember like there's this like so like your knees like they move like this, right?
Yeah.
It's like flexion and extension,
Mm-hmm.
and then you need to like he wanted me to be at like a certain like flexion level
Mm-hmm.
by like like a week from now.
Yeah.
So for me, after doing physical therapy during the day, I would go back home and like still try and like work on my leg mobility so I could achieve
Yeah.
that like that goal even sooner. And I actually achieved that goal like instead of a week from now, I achieved it in like 2 days. And then my physical
Mm.
therapist was like, yo, you need to slow down a little bit. Like we don't want you to like, you're like
Yeah.
I get your motivation right now, but like you need to slow down a little bit so you don't like overwork yourself. So like for
Yeah.
me, it was just like focusing on those little goals. It kind of just it keeps you like determined. It keeps you motivated. Just focusing on the little goals, and then eventually you'll get to the the big picture goal that you eventually be back on the court.
Mm.
And I each time I definitely came back like sooner than I was supposed to. But
Yeah.
like what? It's all good.
I know typical recovery time is what they usually is like 9 to 12 months in terms of
So
like tearing ACL,
for
right?
for torn ACL, it's like I think my first one I was able to my first one it took me like a year. I was just like in high school and
My
like
God. Yeah.
I was just like busy with like so much stuff that like it took me like a year. And usually it's like they give you the time frame like 6 to 12 months. Some people come back within like 6 months, and it's just like
That's insane.
so like I think the second time I was more around like 8 months kind of,
Mm-hmm.
but like I hadn't even gotten clearance yet from my like physical therapist. So I was just like, well, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Like, but I was still careful, I knew my limits
Yeah.
with that. So yeah.
I remember. Yeah, I remember you were always still down to play. I'm like, bro, did you get cleared yet? You're like, I'm good.
I'm good, man.
And I think
Just
that
pass me
my
the ball. I'll be a
right.
shooter.
I think that too, Raymar. I know that you with basketball playing such a significant role in your life, and in terms of doing it and even enjoying and watching the game. I know a big thing was when when you enjoy or doing something like you tend to look at people that also do that as well. And I don't know if you can maybe just provide some maybe players in any era or even any league that just like really, I would say, you really embodied or you really just enjoyed their gameplay, their mentality, the way they carry themselves,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like maybe some of your biggest influences in terms of basketball figures.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for basketball, obviously, dude, like, come on. Like, Kobe was like just like, obviously being a Laker fan,
Mm.
like, just being like his biggest fan, like, growing up, like, I looked up to him so much. And just with him and just his like mentality, his like, just like his, how aggressive he was, how he didn't take shit from anybody. And he
Yeah.
went through the same thing. He had like how many injuries, like serious injuries, and he would always like destroy the like timetable for like
Yeah.
coming back. And like that's probably the biggest thing that I learned from him was just how to be resilient, how to just like,
Mm.
like suffer through like some pain and just like kind of just if you like your team needs you or if you really want to do something, like just put your all into it and like don't let whatever is like holding you back, like these injuries, like really like hinder you from trying to achieve it.
Yeah.
And just with him, it's like people don't realize that, like, I mean, he was like also like a good he was people know him as like, great scorer and like super aggressive and everything, but dude was crazy on defense. Like for me, when it comes to basketball, my favorite players have to be good on both offense and defense.
Yes.
Because like people don't pay attention to the defensive side of the ball as much as
Yeah.
they should. And like for me, when I play, like before, like, like my knees started breaking down on me, I was like known for like being better on defense than I was on offense, like growing up.
Yeah.
So like, like I used to take, like when I was like just in like middle school, high school, I used to like take pride and like, trying to guard like the other team's point guard. And
Yeah.
like I remember the best feeling was like forcing like a point guard into like a 10-second violation. That's like the best feeling in the world, dude.
Full court press.
Yeah, dude. So like, yeah, like just how tenacious he was like on both sides of the ball was just like so inspiring. And then like, I mean, even like other, like, let's see, like, I mean, like other sports figures, like recently I really got into soccer, like the past like 5 years, and like just watching Lionel Messi in Barcelona, like, oh my God, dude is unbelievable. Like, because so there's stats, right? So of any soccer player, he walks the most out of any soccer player on the
Explain
field.
what a walk is to
just like you have to, like, no, like he's literally walking, like how many steps you're walking versus running. And like, yet he walks the most, because soccer is like huge field, right? You have to be running everywhere.
Yeah.
Dude walks the most, but still always has the most goals, the most assists in like the league. And it's just like mind blowing, just like how he knows like when to conserve his energy, and also how he knows like when to like really turn it up.
Yeah.
Like he like sees and like just the passes he does, he like sees things like way ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like the way that he like passes the ball through like a whole defense just to like give it to his teammate. It's like, oh my God, dude. It's like, it's fucking crazy. And like just him with his like, just how efficient he is. Cause dude walks more than any soccer player in the world, but he still scores more. Yeah, he still scores more. And he also has he also averages like the most assists like in a season. So he's like a goal scorer, and so he's pretty much he's like the scorer of a basketball team, but he's also the point guard. Like he like distributes, but he also scores the most. Like, oh my God, dude.
And he's small too.
Insane.
He's
dude, yeah, he's probably shorter than you. He's probably like 5'9", 5'8",
relative
5'9",
in sports.
like,
he's
bro,
smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. He's like fucking amazing.
What about people? What about an athlete that played your position, so point guard? If you were to,
ooh, dang,
say one or a few, even.
Tough. I mean, growing up, my favorite point guard was Chris Paul. Like he just knows how to like control the pace of the game. Yeah. Like I kind of like watching the UCLA games, like our point guard. I fucking love him. His name is Tiger Campbell. Yeah. Like he kind of reminds me of Chris Paul a little bit, where like he's not really the best scorer. Yeah. But like dude just knows how to control the pace of the game. And it's like he knows when to run it. He knows when to, slow it down and run your sets. And to me, that shows you that he knows like who's on the court, both on his team and also on the other team. Yeah. And like he knows like when to run. He knows the strengths and weaknesses of all his teammates. He even knows the strengths and weaknesses of the opponents. And like so like he could score the ball when he wants to, but he's like a great distributor of the ball. He's great on defense. He's the one thing I liked about him, he's not afraid to like get into it a little bit with people and like cause a little controversy a little bit. It's like getting people, trying to get people's heads, because I'm kind of like that too when I play. So like, you are. So yeah, he was definitely like my favorite point guard. And dude's killing it still. Like he's like last year he was on OKC. No one thought they were going to make the playoffs. He freaking brought them to the playoffs. They almost
beat the Suns.
Yeah, now he's killing it with the Suns. They're like,
Flip
what? Like
that shit.
They're like fucking like second place right now in the West. Like what?
That man's great.
Yeah. Like I hope, like, even though like he's like he could be a little annoying to people sometimes, but like that's also like kind of like why I like him. Yeah. So yeah, I hope he gets a ring somewhere someday.
Right. He signs with the Lakers and doesn't get Knicks this time or whatever.
Oh fuck! Goddamn. I still remember that day.
Dude, 20. Oh,
We were freshmen in college,
we
dude.
were freshmen. That was 2011. Oh my
Yeah, dude. I remember when the news broke that Chris Paul got traded to the Lakers, I was just like, fuck yeah. I was like super excited. And then I just started doing homework or something. And then I went to go take a shower. And like 2 hours later,
Yeah,
it was
the Knicks.
after I got out of the shower, they fucking like say they like vetoed the trade. I'm like, what the fuck? This was like just like an hour ago. What the hell happened?
Honestly, I really have I have a strong feeling, especially because I was the 2011-2012 season. Like they had a good shot
Bruh, they would
to
have.
three,
Yeah.
especially because I think they still retained Bynum. Like I think they just gave up
Oh
Gasol
yeah,
and
it was
Odom.
good.
So
Yeah,
they had the big, they had Kobe, they had
Bynum was killing it. It was killing it back then
that
too.
year, yes.
So
Oh my, yeah. I still there's like all these like memes. It's just like
yeah, what
some
would happen?
girl no, there's this girl I follow on TikTok and she's like, y'all allowed this, and it shows like the Brooklyn shit. She's like, y'all
Oh, but
allowed
not like
this. It shows the Miami Heat, like the super team. It's like, but
yeah.
y'all didn't allow Chris Paul and it's so fucking facts. It's so true. And people don't understand that, like, bruh, that would have been a wrap. In my
It would have
opinion.
been
In my
like
opinion.
prime Kobe and prime Chris Paul together, dude. Bruh,
Yeah. Now we
over.
just gotta live in the what if, but here
I
we
know,
are.
right?
We'll see. Now we're a couple months away from the playoffs, and we're now gonna go transition to
Yeah.
kind of just NBA. But what is your take in terms of what the season's looking like right now in terms of the league? There's a lot of injuries to a lot of key players on a lot of
Yeah.
contending teams.
Yeah.
What are you feeling this year? What are you feeling this year in terms of just like what do you think is going to happen if you had to project?
Yeah. I mean, like, it is kind of tough to say right now just because there's so many injuries. Like Lakers obviously haven't had LeBron and AD for a while. Fucking
Yeah.
Drummond lost his toenail the other day. I was like, what the fuck? God damn it, Drummond.
Right.
Everyone's super excited about him and then fucking
Right.
loses his toenail. And then like Brooklyn, I think KD's coming back today, actually. I got like a
Okay.
notification.
Oh
Yeah, so
shit.
he was out for like 20. He was out for like 25 games though. I was just like, damn. And they're still first because of fucking Harden and Irving and
And
everyone. I'm like,
everyone.
fuck, fucking
Right.
Nets. But
Right.
but like honestly, like I feel like because and then like Embiid was like out for forever. Like
He
because there's
was.
been so many injuries, like I feel like come playoff time, it's gonna be like a toss up. Like everyone's saying, like obviously before the season started, like Lakers were the favorites, and then like throughout the
Yeah.
year, like Philly was looking good, and then Brooklyn added all these pieces, but Brooklyn's not even like all together yet. So it's like I feel
Yeah.
like continuity and chemistry is so important
Of course.
in the playoffs. Like look what happened to the Clippers last year. They fucking did all their load
Yeah.
managing shit and they lost. But like so
Yeah.
this year I noticed that like they don't do it as much anymore. Like they're not doing as much of the load managing shit.
Mhm.
So it's like just with like how injuries are going, like when everyone comes back, it's going to be interesting to see how everyone plays together on like the Lakers, the Nets, the Clippers, because like
Yeah.
all of and the Sixers, like all of them haven't been together all year. So hopefully everyone's healthy by playoff time, and it should be a good playoffs because like the fucking Jazz and Suns came out of nowhere and are
Yeah.
killing it too now, and then like in the West is just crazy. So one team, like some teams are going to be like in the first round, it's going to be
Gonna be
like a
wild.
fucking bloodbath.
It's
Like
gonna be
the 3 versus 6 matchup and 4 versus 5 matchup in the West is
insane.
just going to be like Lakers might play the Clippers in the first round for God's sakes. Like just the
Yeah.
way things are going.
Well,
Like,
if I
God,
had
dude,
to if I had to push you and say, all right, you got to choose your conference finals for both the East and the West. That's going to eliminate some
yeah.
I know there's been a lot of key moves. I've been like, wow, that's crazy. Like I think the Nuggets picking up Gordon and McGee was
Yo, they look
huge.
good.
I mean,
They look so good.
I mean, the Nuggets are just obviously the Lakers. They're gonna be there. They're gonna be in
Yeah.
that contention. But I mean,
Yeah.
the Nuggets making some big moves with that, right?
Bro,
And
the Nuggets look good.
right, that was that was cool.
Hella good.
Not gonna lie. I mean, I'm not the biggest Bucks fan, but like I was super happy, especially as a fellow Bruin, seeing Drew
Holiday, he's
But
killing it, man.
yes, bro,
He's
Drew
killing
Holiday.
it.
Like I've been telling, just he is. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, that's gonna throw some teams out there. But if you had to say
Yeah.
conference finals, you had to predict who's gonna make it to the
Man.
conference finals, East and West, right now, given everything, and then
Yeah.
give me your winners, and then give me that NBA finals, and then we'll see if we can go to that prediction as well. So conference finals.
Shit. In the East, I'm going Nets and Bucks.
Okay.
Dang, it's like I'm like I don't know who would win in that series because like Milwaukee's like their whole thing in the playoffs is that like Giannis can't close, right? So it's like, but the fact that because the reason why he can't close is because he can't shoot, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that they added Drew Holiday, who's like someone who could create his own he'd create his own shot off the dribble and stuff,
Yeah.
like that's exactly what they needed in the playoffs. And like they're not as
Yeah.
deep as they were last year,
Yeah.
but like sometimes like in the playoffs, like sometimes depth doesn't matter. You just play like your fucking best five people, like most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
So like I think the Bucks could clip the Nets, honestly. Just with
Like
like
that.
the
I
Nets
like
like
that.
not just with the Nets not having like that continuity, and they're gonna like the whole thing with the Nets is they're just gonna try and outscore you. They suck on defense,
Yeah.
terrible on defense, but they're just gonna outscore you every day.
Yeah, they're
But
just.
like I think the Bucks could clip them. I think they could get them
I like
in like
that.
6-7. I think
Okay.
I'm gonna be rooting for them. That's for sure.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, especially with Drew Holiday on that
Oh
squad.
hell yeah, yeah.
I love
And
that.
then in the
Okay.
West, oh man, dude, the West. I still think if Lakers are healthy, I don't think anyone could beat them if they are healthy.
Mhm.
That's a big if though, because
But
like
your
LeBron and AD.
projections, yeah. So like whatever, like
Yeah,
with
Lakers. So
the
I go
injuries.
Lakers.
Mhm.
Honestly, like I think they might play the Nuggets again because the Nuggets look so good right now. And I would have said the Clippers, but like I'm not okay. I'm not the biggest believer in the Jazz and Suns. Like I know they're killing it during the regular season, but
Yeah.
they just haven't done it in the playoffs yet. So
Yep.
like I can't
Agreed.
I can't like believe in them that much.
Agreed.
The
Yeah.
Clippers, I wasn't the biggest fan of the whole how they traded Lou Will away for Rondo, and like because it's like I love okay Rondo killed it like Rondo killed it for the Lakers last year,
Yeah.
but like I don't know if he's been injured this year or like I don't know if he lost a step, but he hasn't looked like super good yet. I'm sure by playoffs time, obviously playoff
Playoff
Rondo
mode.
might show, but
Right.
like he's gonna be their X factor for sure because they lost
Yeah.
Blue Will, so they lost like one
Mhm.
of their best scorers. They
Yep.
lost Montrez last year.
Yep.
Ibaka's like currently injured, so it's like it's literally
That's
just
right. That's right.
it's
That's right.
literally just Kawhi and PG right now, like killing it for them. So like they need to get everyone back, and then if Rondo is like healthy and good, like he could be an X factor for them for sure. Because he'll finally be able to just like set like Kawhi and PG up, like
Yeah.
and yeah, like fuck Pat Bev, like he'll just
All right.
So
So
I would
who's
say
winning that? Who's winning
right,
that? Who you think right now?
if everyone's healthy, it's gonna be Lakers and Bucks. It's the Lakers and Bucks
Do
in
you
the
the
finals.
question is, do you think the Lakers are going to be healthy enough? That's the question.
I think they will. They got so I think it's gonna like I think they're gonna have a slow start to the playoffs because everyone's coming back. You know how like last year, like we always lost like the first game and like we sucked in the bubble before
And then
playoffs.
won
Like
the next
I
4
think it's
games.
gonna be like yeah, exactly. I think it's gonna be like that because everyone's still like coming back and then like they're gonna try and like acclimate to Drummond.
Yeah.
But because he's like a new piece. But
Mhm.
if they figure it out, if anyone can figure it out, it's LeBron and AD.
Of course.
So I'm still confident. I'm still confident that
Absolutely.
pull it out. If they're healthy though, I think
Yeah.
they will be though. Because LeBron, they're gonna sit them longer than usual probably.
Of course. Of course.
So just so they're healthy for the playoffs. Because
So-
they just need to make the playoffs. Like home court
That's a
advantage.
big question. That's a big question. Too.
They'll make the playoffs.
I just
But
kidding.
like home court advantage doesn't mean shit in the playoffs because it's like barely like
doesn't
like,
mean yeah. Doesn't mean it now.
It depends on how many fans are allowed in like those places. So
All right. So
I'm still confident.
Bucks or Lakers?
Lakers, bro, come on, please.
How many games?
6. Lakers at 6. We get there, it's over. We get there, it's over.
That's true. That's true.
We get there, but we got to get through the West though. Like first round, even every round's going to be a struggle, I think. But I'm confident.
Yeah,
If
it's
they're healthy.
yeah, it's. But I'm gonna hold you to that. Raymar calls Lakers over Bucks in 6. This is April 7th, 2021. Right?
Oh
you heard it here first. all this crazy shit happens. Like that's not even the two teams that are in the finals.
I know, goddamn.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't say the Sixers because I've never been a fan of the Sixers, and Fuck do I
I
know?
just don't. It's like they're doing well this year, but like I'm not the biggest believer.
Not the one, not the one, not the one, not the one.
Yeah.
Another fun thing too, and you and I have played countless games at UCLA, Raymar, but I remember some of the best stuff, some of my favorite stuff was actually post grad when we played IM together. And
Oh yeah,
that year that we
tough
won,
one.
the year that we won the
Where we
championship
won.
was, I mean, I don't even
Yeah.
remember who was on that. I mean, I think we had Francis and Mikey and Resty, but we had like an awesome collection of just like a bunch of
Yeah.
wings. We're basically like I don't even know what
Yeah.
team that has a bunch of good wings right now. Like maybe the Celtics.
Yeah. I think our tallest guy was Sean.
When he would come, right?
Yeah, but he's like doesn't even play big. Like he's like.
And you know what's funny is in terms of, and you've probably experienced this many times, but I think to win a championship in like in organized sports, like that was the first like real one. Like let's be real, like an actual one. And I don't know, like
Yeah.
that feeling of just like winning in the way that we did too. Because if you remember, the team that we played smashed us earlier that season. And if
They
you remember
did.
this too,
They were trash talking, bro.
they were trash talking,
I
and
know. I know. I
at
know
the
exactly what you're
time,
talking
and at the
about.
time, our girls were on the court
Yeah.
side, and
I
I
know
remember they were
exactly
kind
what
of
you're talking
mocking
about.
them, and I remember
Yep.
you and I just took that really, really. We said,
Yeah.
all right, bet. Like I
Yeah.
remember we lost by at least like 30 points. We got.
Yeah, it was a blowout. Yeah. I
I
remember.
remember we are like, this shit ain't happening today. We wanted them,
Yeah.
and that's what
Yeah.
made it so much sweeter too. It was just
Yeah.
perfect. It was like the
Oh,
team that we.
definitely.
I don't know if that ever like for you as a competitor and you growing up in organized sports, that extra motivation that can't ever be like written on paper. Like I don't even know like if that's ever played a factor in previous games, or even if you can just maybe just talk about just like that extra motivation in anything. I don't know if you've ever had experiences of just like no one else might understand it unless that they were in your shoes. If you
Right.
had
Yeah.
that in any sort of space, whether you were doubted, whether it was like getting into college or getting into med school, or it was, I don't know if there's ever a time or something that you were doubted that you were like, I'm gonna prove you wrong, and this is why. Because I feel like you're
Yeah.
so competitive and you're so like you have such a strong will that you
Yeah.
probably have some juicy stories in that regard.
I mean, like, so when you play sports, right? Coaches always tell you like, oh, like don't play with your emotions too much. Like it'll just like,
Mm.
I think that's bullshit. Like,
Okay,
I
I love that.
completely play emotional.
Yeah,
Like especially when I play basketball. Like it's just
yeah,
part of like who I am as a player. Like I will
absolutely.
get into it with people. I'll like
I
trash talk
know.
people, and like to me, it's just one. It makes it more fun for me.
Hmm.
Like like obviously I'm not gonna like make things like like dangerous or go too far. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I know when to like not like where the line is and
yeah,
stuff. Like so like for me it just makes it more fun. And like if like
yeah.
you're trash talking somebody, like if you're just playing pickup at the gym and like they're like trash talking you, you're just trash talking the whole game, and then like you like make like a shot in their face, or you like win the game,
All
making them
right,
kind
all
of
right, all right.
it just makes the validation so good.
Yeah, yeah.
But in terms of like real life stuff where that kind of like played in, I mean like there's not too many, because like I mean like I've been blessed with like the people around me that
Yeah.
have believed in me. They always they expected a lot of me, but but there's a reason for that, because like like a lot of people, they expected me to like go to medical school just because like I've been talking about it,
Yeah.
for a long
Yeah.
time. I've been working towards it. I've been putting in the
Hmm.
work in like high school, college, and
Yeah.
post grad just to get in. So like there's there wasn't really anybody who doubted me. The only thing I could think of is like when like I actually applied to medical school twice.
Mm.
So the first year I applied, I kind of like I don't know why I applied the first time,
Yeah.
but it was kind of just like I had just got surgery for my ACL, and like I was
Mm.
just bed bound, and I was just like kind of looking up shit. I was like, I think I
Ah.
could like try it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like I actually got an interview for one school,
Hmm.
and they actually waitlisted me, and I was like, oh, okay, if I could get a wait list from this, it was for Western in Pomona. So that was like the
Mm.
school that I really wanted to go to just because
Yeah.
it was still close to home.
Yeah.
And so if I could get waitlisted now, if I apply again and like really work on my personal statement, get better letters of rec, like I think I could get into the school.
Yeah.
And so I applied again the second round the next year. I got an interview with them, but they so the whole it was like a whole weird thing where like Western, that school, they have a school in Southern California, but they also have a school in Oregon.
Yeah.
And so I actually got an interview from the Oregon school
Mm-hmm.
first,
Yeah.
and I got in. And because I got in, they give you like 2 weeks to like decide if you want to accept it. You have to put down $2,000,
I remember. Yeah.
and there's a thing that says like, oh, if you accept this offer from the Oregon school, you're no longer in consideration for the SoCal school, which is I thought was like the weirdest like thing
Yeah.
ever.
Trying to
And
wrap
I was
you
just
up.
like, yeah, and I was just like, okay, like I'm not gonna say no right now,
Yeah.
and hopefully I get an interview from like the SoCal school.
Yeah.
But it never came, and so I was just like, okay, I guess I have to accept this because it was the only school I had gotten into at that time,
Yeah.
and it's like it's not like I could just say no, you know.
Yeah.
So I eventually came to terms with like not being able to go to that Western in SoCal. But
Yeah.
then like literally like a month later, they send me an interview invite, like the SoCal Western school. And I
Yeah.
was just like, oh, okay, maybe there's hope. Maybe there's like no like
Mm-hmm.
there's like they don't really have that like that clause or whatever where like if you go to if you get accepted at the Oregon school, you can't be in consideration for the SoCal school. So I emailed them about it, and they were like, oh, like actually this was a mistake. Like we didn't mean to like send you this invite. And I just remember being like so mad and like so upset because like I even told Rachel about it, and she like
Yeah.
got super excited that I could possibly be like staying close to home for med school and
Such a
stuff. And
tease. Yeah.
yeah, and I just remember like um just being so mad about that, and because it was a bummer. Like I was just like, okay, like when I told her I was going to Oregon, it was hard for her. Obviously, like
It's
Oregon's
long to,
fucking like
yeah.
so far away, and like it was
Yeah.
that school was like in the middle of like butt fuck nowhere, and like god damn. So like
Yeah.
I wasn't really looking forward to going there, but
Yeah.
at that time, that's like where I was. That was the only place I got into, and that's what it looked like I was going to go into. But
Mm-hmm.
like time passed, I eventually got over it, and then luckily I got off the wait list at Toro, Nevada,
Mm-hmm.
where like I was just like, okay, this is way closer. I liked the school better.
Yeah.
I like the school a lot better. It's like not in the middle of nowhere. It's near Vegas. There's stuff to
Cool
do
place.
around
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome living here, and so like the things just everything worked out well,
Yeah.
and just with like the whole like motivation thing, like I just like not there wasn't really a case where like anyone doubted me, but I'm just a big believer in like everything works out for a reason and everything plays
Absolutely.
out for a certain reason. So you kind of just have to roll with the punches, and eventually like you'll eventually get to where if you keep working hard, and you'll eventually get to like where you want to be. So now I'm like I did 4 years here, going back
Mm-hmm.
home like I've always wanted.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I mean, just like in the intro, and basically being able to go back home. And I remember, shout out to James, our also former roommate, and
Yeah.
he was kind of suggesting it'd be cool to get your perspective, post finding out where residency is at. And I remember when you two posted, especially seeing what you went through, because I remember at the time you were, where were you working? You were no, don't tell me. Oh my god, it starts with a B. You, where the hell were you? You're in Burbank. You were working in Burbank.
Mm. Oh, Burbank. Yeah.
Working in Burbank, and I remember
Yeah.
because for those that are familiar with the LA area, I mean Burbank from where you live is it's a trek, and I
Fucking
remember it
far.
was cool because
Yeah.
we just got even closer because you would stay over and we would just kick
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and I remember even
Yeah.
seeing you in that grind, and to see that for a while, and then to like
Yeah.
just literally a couple weeks ago, to seeing that you post that and share that on social media, it was just like,
Yeah.
you when you see those things and you see like the end result, it was just like it really made me so happy. And I was even telling Michelle, I was like, I feel like a proud parent when I was like posting about you. I was posting old ass pictures of like, and it was just, I don't know,
Yeah.
it was just incredible because when you see what someone goes through and you see that final breakthrough and like it
Yeah.
really being the ideal outcome, and because you and Rachel had been doing long distance for
Yeah.
4 years, like
Yeah.
that's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of toll,
Yeah.
and like I don't know, then just talking to y'all like off camera, and y'all got a place, I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
that's
dude.
so fucking
Yeah.
tight. And honestly, I just want to take this time to just really just say congratulations, and you
Thank
fucking
you,
earned
man.
it, and I'm glad that
Thank
you
you.
and
Appreciate it.
James are back in Cali where you fucking
Yeah,
belong.
but
Y'all had to leave a little bit
I know
for
it's been a Been a long time coming. Been a long
Yeah,
time
man.
coming,
And
but I'm super excited.
how are you feeling? I mean, I feel like even though you are coming home, I feel like there is just you've gotten so used to life being out of California, living the long distance relation. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
how do you what are your feelings coming back? Like what are your feelings coming back and like what do you think like adjusting to life being back in California is gonna be like?
Right. I mean, dude, I'm like, well, one, I'm super excited. Like this program that I got into it's always been my number one program that ever since I started applying to
Yeah.
residencies, it was at the top of my list.
Yeah.
And to be able to like be like one of the 8 people that they selected was like just like huge honor, huge accomplishment, and like super
Yeah.
proud. And like I'm excited to move back. Like I know I understand and realize that things are different. It's gonna be a little different coming back. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to adjust to like like just being close to home again,
Yeah.
seeing my parents more often. Like
Yeah.
it's just a thing that I have to get used to. And then like living with Rachel, and just like I'm excited for all of that. Though at the same time, like I did build like a lot of good relationships and friendships here in Vegas. That
Yeah.
like most of them are staying here in Vegas. Some people are like going
Mhm.
other places. So it's like it's gonna suck to leave because like these past 4 years have been really good. Like I think this was like the most like if I wasn't going to be in SoCal, like this was the most ideal situation for me. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
being away from home, like it really helped me grow and like learn to like be just be independent. One, um, but also learning to like like how to also still try and depend on like like Rachel and my family from far away. Like kind of
Yeah.
trying to figure out that balance.
Yeah.
And like going so now just like going full fledged, it's like living with Rachel and then like being close to my parents again, to all my other family. Like I do know that it's not gonna be like a huge super like easy transition, just because like I did get used to like being independent here.
Yeah.
I do realize I have to like like switch up like the way I do things. Like me and Rachel have been talking about it a little bit already, like how
Yeah.
like certain things we have to do a little bit differently, like like
Yeah.
in certain terms of like communication and stuff like that. So we are like like talking about it now so that it
Mm.
doesn't like blow up later. So I'm super excited to be going back, and luckily like most of the people I know are still staying here in Vegas. So it's
Yeah.
like there's always that like option
Yeah.
to go back and just like go back for a week and visit them and stuff. So it's gonna suck to like leave, but I'm also super excited to go back and just work on the relationships I already had back at home.
Yeah.
Reconnect with people that I may have like lost touch with over these past 4 years. Whether they're
Yeah.
in like high school or just like other college friends. Like
Yeah.
super looking forward to rebuilding and like reconnecting with like all those people, because those are the people that they were there for me like while I was going through the grind before medical school, man.
Yeah.
So it's just with how rigorous and how busy medical school is, I haven't been able to like keep in touch with as many people as I wanted to back from back home. So I'm super excited to go back and like hit up all those people and be like, oh, like I live here now, like we could like all meet up and like hopefully like just like reconnect, like just like keep building on like those relationships back home. So super excited. I'm like kind of scared for next year because like everyone always says like you're the first year of residency is like a shit show, and like
Yeah.
you're actually like getting paid, you're actually in charge of like literally a
Yeah.
person's life. So it's like it's a little scary,
Of course.
but I'm up for the challenge, and like I'm definitely looking forward to it for sure.
Absolutely. And it is really cool because I feel like, learning things is really just, information until you really apply it, right? And it's cool to be like, whoa, like I you can literally say like you like I did medical school. Like I'm gonna be a doctor.
Yeah,
And you're
it's
like,
like
wow, I'm
it's
gonna be
crazy.
that. Like this is something
Yeah.
you've been working for since you were little, and you're just like, wow,
No, yeah,
I'm
exactly. Like
actually that.
I know me and my friends have been talking about it, how like our residency programs have been sending us a bunch of paperwork to like, just to like, like sign the contracts and like
Of course.
offer letters for, because we're starting a new job starting in June, July. And like literally every email starts with like Dr. Baesa, comma. I'm just like, whoa, dude,
That's
hold up.
tight. I know,
It's like,
man.
whoa, shit.
That's so
It's like, cause
tight.
like, yeah, it's like that. Just like looking back at like, like having to like fucking sleep on like your floor for like how long, and like, and just like going through like just like going through all the hard classes in college and like
Yeah,
even in
man.
high school, like just
Hmm.
like grinding, and like it's like it definitely like I do feel like a lot of like satisfaction and like a lot of like just like I do feel proud of myself for like getting to this point because
Absolutely.
I'm honestly going into like an ideal scenario where I get to like do the profession that I love in like the area that I want to eventually settle down in and like like hopefully raise a family in. So I'm
Absolutely.
super excited. Like right now I'm kind of just like basking in like the whole like just like still being here in Vegas and just kind of like trying to take advantage of like this next month because the
Yeah.
same thing's going to happen with these people where I'm not going to be able to like connect with them as well as I did these past 4 years. So kind of just trying to take advantage of the time that I have left here with them while also planning for like the future with Rachel and my family and everything. So it's a big step, but I'm excited, man. I'm very excited.
It is a huge step, and I am excited. Once I am fully vaccinated too, I know that we had talked about, Rachel and I visiting
Oh
you and
yeah,
making
yeah,
the most
dude.
of it while you're still there, and
Yeah,
I am
dude.
excited
It'll be
because
fun.
in
Yeah.
that 4 years, I don't even think I've been to Vegas since maybe I don't know, but I
Mhm.
haven't been at your
Yeah.
place, and so it'll be nice to
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
take that in,
Oh yeah,
um,
dude.
like
You could.
and it's cool because you and I have also like you're one of the few friends that like I've actually like we've traveled together. We've been a
No.
bit
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
done the Seattles, the New York. Like, we've
Yeah.
and it'll be cool to just like even have you and Rachel back and not only not just that Raymar, but I think even and this is just going to be just a praise Raymar section right here. But I think in more ways that than you realize that there are ways that I've observed and learned through, in college or living together that you've influenced me. I remember one of the things that I think I would talk to you and, James, I'm just going to call it out, but I remember one of the things that we would talk about was like, he would always be like, yo, like, it's like, sometimes like you would like stand up when you're studying, like, even though you were tired as hell or just like
Yeah.
these wild things. I was just like, oh, like I've never thought about like I never thought and
Yeah.
then
I
like
still did that throughout
and
medical school,
and
man.
like trying, but it's cool like just
Yeah.
even like seeing, and that's seeing what works for you. And I'm like, I'm gonna try that myself because like if it works for him, like maybe not. And it was just cool, like just even study habits and being persistent and being resilient you talked
Yeah.
about, and just being a competitor and sharing the whether it's the stage or whether it's the court with you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always I know I'm gonna get that dog in you, which absolutely love. um Now, Raymar, it's, I want to, you've given us so much in terms of your narrative, and this is just surface level. I mean, just talking basketball and a little bit of your med
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
journey with us. Now, this isn't going to change anything, Raymar, but if you had to say anything to your 13-year-old self, what would you say?
Okay. I actually got a similar question to this in one of my residency interviews.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh shit, fuck, I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I was just like, it
Yeah.
caught me off guard. But like, I thought about it a little bit more.
Okay.
And I think like, so a common question that we get in our residency interviews is like, okay, like, obviously tell me about your strengths, also tell me about your weaknesses
Yeah.
and stuff. And for me, like, my biggest weakness was easy. It was like just asking for help basically. Like I feel like I'm very
Mm,
prideful, and because I
yeah.
have that competitive nature in me,
Yeah.
that I always want to accomplish things by myself. And like
Yeah.
and like sometimes it works and you like feel that gratification, but sometimes like I realized that it would have been better to like like be vulnerable and ask help from whether it was like a classmate, a
Mm,
professor, my preceptor, anything. But if I were to talk to my 13-year-old self, I would probably tell them or tell myself that it's okay to not be okay. So like it's
mm.
okay to it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to like feel like shit sometimes, because if you have those types of emotions, it just means that you care about that certain situation even more.
Yeah.
Like I actually just recently talked about this whole like how thing with like one of my classmates, how like, oh, like the opposite of love is indifference, it's not hate.
Mm,
Because indifference means like you literally just don't care anymore, like you have no feelings about it whatsoever.
mm.
If you hate someone, there's still like that emotion, and there's still that
Yep.
like,
I love that.
yeah. So it's like, so if you have those feelings of of vulnerability, of sadness and stuff like that, like that means that you still care about it.
Mm,
And if you care about something, that means that you're going to be willing to work yourself away from it, and work yourself and build yourself back up and stuff like that. So I would tell myself that because growing up, I kind of just always have kind of just like internalized like my problems. That's still a problem that I still like
I agree.
I'm working on, like if I have a problem or something, I usually try to just first kind of like do it myself and internalize it, try and figure out a way out of it, when it could be easier to just, talk to Rachel about it, talk to my friends about it, talk to my preceptors about it, and I could like figure out what's wrong and like how to get out of it even faster. So that's something that I'm still working on. And if I were to talk to my 13-year-old self, just like kind of like establish that mindset, so that when I do go through like the problems that I have faced with it, like ever since I was 13, like I would probably manage it a little bit better, where where like I'm quicker to like get back to like my usual self, so that I don't take things out on like whether it's Rachel or my other friends, my family. And so like I'm kind of just like, quicker to get back on my feet and like really realize that what's important and everything. So that's definitely what I would tell my 13-year-old self.
I love that. And I think just, throw a quick thing in there is just, I think even through COVID, I think we're just as a whole in terms of culturally, like realizing
throughout this past year, like, oh my God, dude, like
mental health is a real thing. And
dude,
I think
absolutely, man, especially after this past year, like I've seen like so many, like just being in rotations, like you see people like losing people, like losing their loved ones. Like in my current rotation right now, like this week alone, we've had like 5 family discussions where like my preceptors had to tell their family like, oh, like it's probably best that we just work on making the patient comfortable rather than pursuing like more treatment and stuff. So it's like, and you see the family like break down, and it's just like, it's like the saddest thing. But that's why it's so important to have people close to you that you depend on, that you can lean on, that are going to be there for you, are going to build you back up. And it's important to make yourself vulnerable to them, so that there's a reason why they're there, so that they can help you through it. And that's something that I never really grasped. Like I never really grasped that concept until like probably during medical school. Especially after this past year, like it's super important to to have that mindset of like, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to lean on others and like ask for help from others. So
love it. It was beautifully said, Raymar, and it truly is a testament to just showing how much you've learned. And kind of wild to think that, a little over 2 months, month-ish, sorry, month and a half-ish, and you'll be not Raymar anymore, but you'll be Dr. Baesa. Like, God, man, I'm still calling you Raymar, but God damn.
I don't even know if I don't even know if I could still, like respond to that. Like if like nurses call me that, I'm just gonna be like, just call me Raymar. Like,
I love that.
Like
well, a humble man at it, and Raymar, you're one of my closest friends, and a roommate that in my opinion, I know that's always something that people worry about in college, at least when we were able to live with people. I know it's different, but I remember like being blessed not only at the dorms, but even like the apartment mates, with you and Ryan adding on to me, James and Mikey. So it's incredible. I'm glad that we've had so much time to share in a lot of different spaces. And this is just a start. This is just the start of it. I'm excited because, hopefully the next time that we get to link up, it'll be, when you're already working and things are going to be different. It's going to be super awesome to pick your brain about, more about what's going on and just getting into other things that we didn't get to touch upon today. But Raymar, I know, especially with the way the world is in the current climate, time is money, and
no, definitely,
the energy means the world. So I just want to say, one, thank you for sharing, your takes, your narrative to me and the audience that tune in, and just know that I have a lot of love for you, and I'm looking forward to linking up with you the next time, man.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Thank you for having me. This whole podcast that you're doing, I've been following it from the background. I've been watching, man, but it's been super dope. It's been super dope to see you bring like all these different people from all these different walks of life, like share their stories. It's been super dope, man. Like I usually try to listen just like when I'm like on the way to work or something. Like
appreciate
just has, like, something to dude. It's been dope, man. I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm sure a lot of people would too as well. So thank you.
Means the world coming from you, and I'll talk to you soon, Raymar. I love you, man.
For sure, man. For sure.